Ahoy! If you're tuned in now, you are listening to The Bizarre AF, a place where we talk about the strange, the unusual, the unknown, and all things bizarre AF. I'm Alicia, your host for today's episode, and as always, we ask that you keep an open mind, keep a skeptical ear, but keep on listening to the facts as we take you on our newest journey, the curse of the Titanic and inequity. Well, ahoy, matey Kevin. How are you, sailor?
I'm doing great. Ahoy.
Ahoy. Well, you look so nice and
Americana.
Yeah, very Americana. I love it.
Because our destination is America.
I mean, you're right. You're very right.
Ultimately.
Ultimately, yes, of course. Our destiny is, our destination, not our destiny. I guess our destiny now is,
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
I just love dressing up for these episodes.
See, that's the thing. Like, that's one of the highlights of the day is that you get to get them in costume, like you're going on stage.
Which is, yes, if you are tuned in now for the first time, both Kevin and I are proud thespians. Mm-hmm. We have done a lot of theater acting, and give us a theme.
Right.
Oh, we're going to be there.
We are theme whores.
Yes, we are. We're totally theme whores.
Yeah.
And, so typically, if you're just listening, we do a video stream, which you can find at our website at, all those triple W's.
Yeah, triple W.
bizarreaf.com.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. You can catch the video portions on YouTube. We do streaming on Spotify, and then the video on Spotify, and then, of course, the audio on any platform you can imagine.
Any platform. We're also on Instagram, tickety-tockety.
Tickety-tockety.
We've been known to do a dance or two.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
I mean, we're
with
even
some
talking
to
about.
Come.
Yes. Yeah, it was super fun. But yeah, same way that it's spelled here, The Bizarre AF. So, check us out there. But this past week has been fucking crazy, right? Like, it's been insane.
Stressful and just,
I mean, and ultimately, we have been plagued with news of deep sea submersibles or submersibles, exploration of the deep ocean, and the Titanic.
Yes.
Yeah. So, if you are living under a rock, Oceangate is a company that had this submersible. They would have people who would pay to go and see the Titanic wreckage. So they'd go down. It's called Oceangate. The company is called Oceangate.
I know. And so here's what's funny is when you would hear that after the fact, you would go like, oh, it's like, what is that? Watergate. Or it's like some scandal.
Yes. It sounds like a scandal. It's like that story that the truth is even more bizarre than anything you could ever dream up. And that's exactly what this is. Like, this company, we're selling these tickets for a hefty penny to go down and take a look at, the wreckage of an awful, thing that had happened, over 100 years ago. And ultimately, real life is much more bizarre than any fictitious story like the Titanic can be. And I really wanted to talk about Oceangate and specifically about, the idea of curses surrounding the area. So, okay, Kevin, would you ever go to pay to see the wreckage of the Titanic?
That would be an absolute no.
N to the O, for sure.
To the O.
Okay. So, okay.
Even if I was a billionaire,
really,
I have zero interest in doing something so untested.
Right.
Okay.
Right. Yeah.
I'm not. I mean, I do feel like I'm somewhat of a risky person. Like, I'll do risky things.
Sure.
I mean, mildly risky things.
Yeah.
But things that have done like billions of times risky. Not like I have no desire to be 12,000 feet in underwater in a thing that can implode.
Yeah.
With no legroom, BTW.
Right, you have to sit crisscross applesauce.
Yeah. One person, I think, can stretch out at a time.
Yes.
And like that just has zero interest. I have zero interest. Now, I'm not dissing anyone who has interest in it. Good for you, explorer, blah blah blah. But I just no.
Good for you. If you're going, hopefully you're intelligent enough to, I don't know, maybe do a little bit of research. Like, what is the fucking submersible like actually even made out of? I don't know.
It's like, I heard someone compare it to flying. Someone has to fly a plane for the first time.
Yes.
Someone has to go into Mars for the first time. So I guess it's that.
It's the exploration. Okay. Yes. But James Cameron did it. People have already done it. It has been done.
I'm done.
It's like I don't know. This is gonna sound really shitty. And maybe you have one of these. Do you have a tech vest in your like? Oh my God, the look that Kevin just gave. Oh, you don't? Okay. Okay, but like remember when tech vests came out? They're like, oh my God, these are so cool. Like you can have your arms free and like it's fleece and like it has pockets and you're like, okay, maybe the first person that you saw wearing it, you're like, oh, that's really cool. But now when people wear them, you're like, okay, it's not cool anymore. People have already done it. It's been done. Like it's not interesting.
Yeah.
So anyways, I don't know. I kind of think about that. But as of the recording, as of, when we're recording this, they have found the submersible. It was, it did implode like you had hit into that. And everyone is believed to be to have perished. They believe that what, ultimately what had happened was, there was malfunctioning of the carbon.
Yes, the carbon fiber hull.
Yeah.
Yes, they were saying that over time, and someone had been a whistleblower on that, right? And they had said, look, I think that we don't know, but it could be that when you have defects and slowly over time, those could get worse and worse and worse and worse and worse.
Yeah.
And here, that's just what happened.
Yeah, like it's going to be fine on the first time.
Or the second, the third, the fourth, or fifth.
Yeah. But then like the more and more you use it, it's becoming more and more worse worn. And worse and worse. And it's breaking down, and you have so much, pressure.
Yeah,
I can't imagine.
No,
yeah.
So back to your question. In to the O,
Kevin. So what I'm guessing is that you would never do this, Kevin.
Never.
Okay. So I know.
Wait.
Yes. What?
Would you?
Oh yeah. In this.
No.
This one.
I'm just saying, like, if someone said, hey, Alicia, and money was no object.
Money was no object.
And they said, Alicia, there's a once in a lifetime chance. You can see the Titanic. Just a handful of people have seen it.
Yes.
And we're going to let you go see this Titanic 13,000 feet under the water. Something you interested in?
Okay. Nothing's ever free. So that's like the first thing I'd be like, what am I supposed to be doing in order to get this? Like, what is it that you want from me?
Pay me $250,000. That's what I want.
Yeah, no. I wouldn't do that for $250,000. I would much rather spend my money elsewhere. And I don't know, maybe.
But money's no object. That's not even a thing for you.
I guess, okay. Let's just say, would I do it? If James Cameron's
let's told you, Alicia, today, I said, yes. I can give you down there, forget what's happened so far.
Okay.
And I said, Alicia, You can go see the Titanic.
Yes.
For a measly $10 because you've won some lottery.
Okay.
So $10, you get to go down with some expert who has built this amazing capsule. Would you go?
It's super safe.
Yeah, exactly. Because they've worked with NASA.
I don't know. Maybe. I don't know. If you're saying that, maybe I would.
See?
Maybe I would. I like the water though. I'm a water person.
Okay.
I'm a Cancer.
See?
Mm-hmm. I mean, I don't know. Now knowing this, no, fuck no.
Well, of course.
I would. I probably would, like, you know, not knowing this, but I know that you know all about the Titanic. As do I, as an ancient person who saw the movie in theaters. I saw it in the theater, okay? The movie theater. And was a proud owner of the 2 VHS tape.
Oh my God, it was dual VHS.
Dude, it was 2 VHSs
Hilarious.
to watch. So like it stopped halfway through and it was like, you know, put on
Switch
part 2 or whatever.
Two.
Yeah. It was like, you know, when they used to do that cheesy like intermission. Yes. Yeah. They did something that was like music and then you had to like go on to it. And I'm like, of course I want to see Leo and Kate Winslet and like all of those. Yeah. Fuck yeah. I had it.
Had no idea.
Did you not have it?
On DVD.
Oh. Well, you're a techie. So.
It was dual layer DVD, so I didn't have to switch the DVD.
We were like, okay, better rewind this one before we put it the other one.
Put in the other beta.
So, I mean, if anyone lives in the depths of the ocean underneath some rock, you know, the Titanic was, you know, an ocean liner. And it was really ultimately the state of the art for the time. Like it was.
Yeah, it was the ship.
It was, you know, just past the turn of the century. So it was 1912 that this had been, you know, released. And it was massive. Titanic. It was Titanic.
It was gigantic Titanic.
It was a gigantic Titanic. So, but it took passage from the UK to New York City, and brand new.
Yeah.
The completion of the Titanic was done April 2nd, 1912. It took off less than a week later.
Wow.
Yeah, that's how quickly it was, you know, put out. So it was made. It had its first
Start
voyage.
making money.
Start making money. This was the maiden voyage, which is what that's, you know, sea term is the first time it went on to the ocean, and had passengers in it. So, you know, as it was like crossing the ocean, getting closer to New York City, it sunk due to the Titanic hitting an iceberg off of the coast of Halifax, Nova Scotia. In the collision, there was 2,224 people aboard. Of those 2,224 people, 710 were saved. So sad. I guess from me, I didn't know that it was that many people that had gone, that had perished on the Titanic itself. And I'm going to have you guess, you know, who actually, you know, who made it. So
who survived? The Richies?
So in the article,
the Richies?
Yeah. So in the article, we'll actually, we'll have that listed in our show notes, the article itself that shows like a graph of it, of who did and did not survive. So, okay, Kevin, I have it pulled up. Who do you think survived and who didn't survive?
First class survived.
First class, men, women.
Mostly, I would say first class women. You know what I'm basing this off?
What?
It's a movie. So stupid.
No, it's not stupid. Anything. It's not stupid.
Thanks, James Cameron.
Yes.
I want to say first class women.
Okay.
And then I'm going to say. God. Here's what I would. First class. Oh, shit. I don't know. A lot of the crew. Because they had to pilot the little boats.
Mm-hmm. You think they died?
No, I think many of the crew survived.
Okay.
Because I think that they were the ones that had to get on the little boats and help. Oh, but there was probably a lot of crew. Shit. Okay, so I'm just gonna say the highest was the first class women, and the lowest was the third class women.
The third class women. Okay.
Yeah.
So let me see. I did have it pulled up, and it was just not working. So hold on.
God. So let me ask you this then while you're looking up. So do you think that the James Cameron, when he did his movie, was he building his movie for drama, or was he doing it really kind of about was he kind of equating it to really what had happened for the class of passenger? He
actually, he is a fucking nerd and a half when it comes to this stuff.
Totes.
He really is.
You can tell.
So yeah, and so he went dove into
research,
which you're right in like trying to recall like who was on it. It's very accurate. So as far as the first class goes, like I'll break it down. So the most percentage lost of everyone was second class men.
Okay.
92% of the second class men did not survive.
Okay. That jives with what I'm thinking.
154 men perished. Only 14 survived. The second is third class men. So you would almost think that like, third class men would be
lower.
Yeah. That was not the case.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Fascinating.
Super interesting. Yeah.
Okay. All right.
And then, of course, crew. The crewmen, 78% of them
was
were lost.
Fourth.
Or third most lost. Then we have, this is where it gets a little fucked up, people. So, okay, well, first class men, because it was women and children first, right?
Yeah, so they got off first.
They got off first.
Yeah.
And the people who survived were, women and children.
Yes.
Well, first class men, 67% perished. Then we have 66% of third class children died, which is a shitload.
It's because they're third class.
Third class kids, yeah. 52 people don't care.
God damn.
This is going to come up again.
Okay.
Then, we have third class women died. Then 54%. We have, children of first class. Actually, 17. There was 6 first class children. 5 of them were saved. 1 died. And then first class women, 3%. That was like the highest percentage. The
most saved.
Second class children, all of them were saved. All second class children were saved. There were 24, and all 24 lived to see another day.
Okay.
It's kind of interesting. So 3% of first class women did not make it. Then 14% of second class, and then 54% of third class women, and then 13% of the female crew. So not necessarily surprising.
And that also has to do with where you are on the ship, by the way.
Right. That's a huge point.
Yes.
Yeah. So like a lot of it was like, people thought that, nothing, that it was just a joke. Like people were just fucking joking around. And so some people just didn't listen as well.
Right.
Yeah. Or you didn't hear anything, and oh, look, you go down the hallway. Think about Jack and Rose.
Yeah.
They're going through the hallways of third class, and it's just a shitload of water and stuff.
Yeah.
It's interesting.
Right.
So, really to understand the story of the unsinkable ship, we have to really get like the technology that was going on at that day and that time. Like they're like, oh, this ship is so huge, so state of the art, it can't sink. There's no way it can.
Yes.
It's unsinkable. And that's and like people, were like, oh yeah, it's unsinkable. Then within the first week of it even being going on passage, it sinks. So what happens? People start thinking it's cursed. This must be a cursed vessel.
Well, of course, because it's what? Unsinkable.
Right. And somehow it just sank.
Right.
Yeah, or sunk. Excuse me.
Right.
So people really actually believed this. The White Star Line, which was the company who put together it, they had massive, ocean liners, the Titanic being one of them. And they were like, oh, we're going to stop christening our boats because maybe that's what brought on the curse. There was like some weird Catholic Protestant like stuff going on. They're like, there's a curse there. So they stopped doing that. And get this, Kevin.
Because we broke alcohol over the bow.
You're like, or we said this prayer and we said Father, Son, and Holy Spirit, not Father, Son, and Holy Ghost.
Oh, jeez. Oh, Lord.
Fuck off.
People grasping. Yeah, grasping. Yeah.
So there were actually a couple of stories that foreshadowed the story of the Titanic.
Oh, boy.
Yeah. So there was actually a May issue of a popular mag. And if you have ever, worked in print or in any kind of media, you understand that you have to plan things well in advance. So like, a magazine that you're reading in may have been, put together in, I don't know, February.
Sure.
Right?
Yeah.
Because you have to have time to put it all together, print it, blah, blah, blah. And especially back in the good old days, the olden days where, they really had to plan ahead. So So they had to plan ahead for this magazine, and there was a short story called "The White Ghost of Disaster," and it actually described the collision of an ocean liner with an iceberg in the Atlantic Ocean. Yeah, and
this is before the Titanic took off.
This was before the Titanic took off. Like this magazine was already printed and on newsstands.
Was this a fictional magazine? Like, why were they writing this story?
So it was a short story in this magazine. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So it was a short story that they had published, which, you'd have like a little short story, and this was the short story that they had, and it was on all the shelves. And the Titanic went down. So it basically said, that it hit an iceberg in the Atlantic Ocean, and then it sank, and passengers, like all the passengers died, which is basically what happened for the Titanic. And people are like, oh, what? Like this just came, this has been out, and like this just happened. So it like created a little bit of a sensation. People are like, maybe this was foreshadowing the story of the Titanic. But there's another one 14 years before the Titanic, disaster. In 1898, a man named Morgan Robertson wrote a book called The Wreck of the Titan, or Futility. Can we just take a moment, okay? First, before I continue and tell you what this story is about, do you recall what this submersible was called?
The recent one?
Yes.
Oh, the name of the submersible?
Yeah.
The Titan?
Yeah. Yeah. It's the Titan. When I was writing this, I'm like, are you fucking kidding me? This is like kind of weird. Like, before, when they're trying to like draw parallels, you're like, oh, it's the Titanic. Well, this is just the Titan. But now
the story that was written
in 1898 talks about, a vessel that sinks in the Atlantic, and its name is the Titan. And guess what just happened this past week?
That.
Exactly that. Right next to the fucking Titanic, which like just kind of blew my mind when I was writing this. So the story actually features it's a British passenger liner. That's what the Titan is. And it was another unsinkable ship. Okay. In the story, they talk about how it doesn't carry enough lifeboats on it. Okay. And on an April voyage, the Titan hits an iceberg and sinks in the North Atlantic with the loss of almost everyone on board. 1898. Fast forward to 1912. It actually happens. Fast forward to 2023, and the Titan, a submersible, is at the bottom of the ocean, or imploded in the ocean. Same name, same ocean. Pretty crazy.
Part of me also trying to debunk conspiracy hat. Like, do you wonder if they named it the Titan because of that dumb bullshit story?
Oh my God, what a bad omen. Why
where did they get that name? Like, you know what I mean?
You know what? I guess like from my thought process, I would assume they wanted like a play on Titanic. You know, because that's where they were taking people.
Right. That makes sense.
Yeah. So it's like, oh, it's the Titan. Like there's nothing about that submersible that was fucking Titan. It was tiny. It should have been called the Tiny. Right?
The itty bitty.
The itty bitty tiny. The teeny tiny, you know?
Yeah.
But I mean, it's weird.
Yeah, it's weird.
In 1912, another story. The German Berliner newspaper published a book in serial form that ran from the 9th of January until the 24th of April. And remember, the Titanic, crashed, the second week in April. Okay. Mm-hmm. So this was before it started taking off or started publishing before the Titanic had sunk. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. So the work of fiction was actually written by Gerard Hauptmann, who received later the Nobel Prize in Literature that year. So 1 month before that maiden voyage, it was published as the novel Atlantis. Atlantis is a romantic tale, and it's basically set aboard the ocean liner, the Roland, which is doomed. And the fate is very similar to the Titanic, right? So it basically gave people the idea of like, oh my God, this person's telling the future, like of what happened. Again, you have all of these things, all these stories that came out around the same time, and they're all pointing towards a doomed, unsinkable ship.
Right.
And within months or days or weeks or years, in some of these cases, that exact thing happens. So there's also like a Danish silent film that was made, and of Atlantis, and people were like, yeah, no, since people have died on the Titanic, like this is in kind of like bad form. We shouldn't be trying to like sell this, right?
Right.
So they didn't that. Now, I know that we were talking, and I said that this would be kind of a story of ghosts and curses or whatever, but I just couldn't really help but mention another news story that happened this past week in the Mediterranean Sea.
Okay.
Did you hear about this, Kevin?
I don't know. Tell me about it. Let me see.
So, I'll say I heard something, but, as callous as it sounds, to be completely honest, it was just like another blip or story on my way to work while I was driving in my car.
Well, it was probably a blip because we had other things overshadowing it, right?
This was before.
This was way before. This is even before this even was a topic.
Yes.
The
Titan was a topic.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it was actually a crowded fishing boat that was carrying hundreds of immigrants that were seeking asylum.
Yes.
Okay, so you're kind of starting to recall it.
Yes, it was packed.
Super packed.
Yes.
They super duper pack these things.
Yes.
And there's a lot of questions of whether or not this is like human trafficking and stuff like that. But ultimately, the majority of these people were immigrants coming from Pakistan, trying to find a new life, and
they were desperate,
absolutely desperate. Yeah.
So absolutely. They're going to get on a ship that is full of like a sardine if they have a chance at being in America.
And stories were stated, like there are people who are saying, everyone was saying, oh, this is like way too packed, I'm not going to get on it. And the people who were running it were like, you need to get on this. You're getting on it. And like basically saying, if you don't get on it, we're going to,
oh my God.
So, yeah. And I just like did a little motion to my neck. Yeah, it's like or else you better get on this boat. So
what? And do you have any idea why it was that? Why it was get on or die?
Mo money, mo problems. So they're trying to get as many people on there.
It. Yeah, because more money.
Right.
But if you can't get on, like why do you think they would kill them?
Because they didn't want to put them on another boat, and they're just trying to get all of these people crammed on. And they're people who are like illegally moving large groups of people across the ocean. Like, these are not like upstanding citizens.
Like,
they're not doing it out
like a little trip to the United States today.
Like, they're not doing it out of the kindness of their hearts. They're like, oh, you're really wanting to seek another life? You're trying to seek asylum? Yeah, like your life sucks, but like, you know, let me give you this beautiful bed. No, they're like,
let me give you a little room on my ship.
Exactly. Yeah. There's nothing. Yeah. So all these people are crowded on it. God. And, you know, we don't know an official amount of people at this time.
Well, we saw pictures of it.
There are pictures. But because these are people who were, you know, illegally boarding a ship, there's not, you know, there aren't good records.
Sure, of course.
And, you know, there
couldn't be. Yeah.
No, exactly. So, you know, it's not official at this time, but it did capsize in the Mediterranean. And the numbers the last time I checked said 104 people had been rescued and brought to Greece. So this happened in the Mediterranean. They were brought to Greece. Mm-hmm. And it's believed that over 300 Pakistanis had died.
Oh.
And the amount of children who had passed away in this capsizing is, you know, close to 100.
Oh.
Of course, we don't have the same like
That's
numbers
awful.
or anything.
That's awful.
It's horrendous. Ugh. You know, and Greece is a little bit irritated, right? Because they're like, well, we don't want to deal with this problem. So, and these people are coming here illegally, and there's a lot of like drama with the EU regarding.
So, how many people
seekers.
do they think died?
They think that potentially, you know, at least 200, close to it. I mean, they're saying close to 100, you know, children. Who knows? Who knows how many? Because, you know, let's say you go with your family, maybe none of you guys know how to swim and your boat capsizes, right? You're desperate to try to start a new life.
Exactly.
But, you know, I didn't put two and two together, but this actually is believed to be one of the worst shipwrecks in the Mediterranean. Mm-hmm. And yet
there's a lot of people on that boat.
A shitload of people. There was very little attention that was paid in the news cycle.
It just was glazed over.
Totally glazed over.
Yeah.
Because, you know.
They weren't rich and famous or noteworthy. They were, refugees on a boat. Nobody wants to talk about it.
Poor brown people on a boat who, you know, like they're not wanting to talk about any of that shit. And what I was thinking about was like, this really parallels like the idea of the Titanic being an unsinkable luxury boat. Mm-hmm. You know, its sinking is not only a historic event that the public is fascinated with. It, you know, it has all the hallmarks of a captivating story. You have. And then for, you know, the Titanic, they had, you know, hundreds of people. There were also the uber super rich, like ultra elite were on these, you know, on this ocean liner.
Yeah.
On the other hand, you have the Titan, and 6 elite people go to see a macabre sight where hundreds of people died just to die themselves. I think it's pretty fucked up.
Yeah, I mean, I guess it's just perspective, right?
Yeah.
Because that perspective is pretty effed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, people go down to see basically a grave site, you know.
It's true. I mean, that's ultimately what it is.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And all of the cameras, all the attention is being focused on these 6 people who, you know, knowingly pay for a ticket, $250,000 a ticket to go look at a grave site and then come back up And then you have whole families, you know, hundreds of people, potentially 100 children who die in the middle of, you know, the Mediterranean Ocean. And nobody knows about it. Nobody's paying attention. Nobody says anything like, but what about the children? You know, it's like all of us are paying attention to these rich people who have all the money in the world. You know,
doing very risky things, incredibly that are noteworthy. I'm air quoting noteworthy.
Yeah. Incredibly risky. I don't know. Like from my perspective, it's like, okay, like you guys did something really stupid. These people in the Mediterranean were just trying to find, like, have a better life. They're just trying. They're doing things that it's terrifying, right? They're leaving the country that they know because of, you know, whatever reason, trying to seek out a new life, and their boat capsizes. They're poor. Maybe they don't know how to swim. Maybe they don't, you know, what are you supposed to do? Like, you know, it's a tragedy. It's a real tragedy. And yet a lot of people are focused on this one story, you know, of the Titanic, the Titan looking at the Titanic, and these rich elite people who make a really stupid decision. And I don't know. I haven't seen anything. And like, please come to me and tell me that these were humanitarians, because I have not seen anything to say these people did so much good in the world. They were, you know, super kind and like really treated their employees well. And, you know, it's a real loss. Like, I haven't heard anything like that. I've heard that they're billionaires and that they wanted to go and see this. And whereas like you have over 300 people who could have had a future, who, you know, I'm sure out of the 300, you probably had 6 people who were good, kind people.
Yeah.
Which outnumbers the Titan, right?
No, I get your point.
It's fucked up.
I get your point. Yeah. Exactly.
It's not as sexy.
Like you're focusing on, it feels like you're focusing on the rich and elite doing risky things. That's what it feels like.
Yeah.
I mean, they could have been amazing people.
Sure.
Who knows?
Sure.
Sure. But that's really what it boils down to, right?
I think
it was so rare, unique, risky, elite.
Yes. Whereas we have immigrants on the borders of the United States, Mexico.
Yeah.
People are coming up through Mexico, and it's like people die all the time. People, you know, immigrants who are trying to make a better, you know, passage through, risking all of everything, their lives. So
let me play devil's advocate.
Please
just to create some churn. And to make people listening go, what the fuck am I? So think of the Wright brothers.
I know where you're going with this, but continue.
And their adventures, some the poor would consider were elite, creating this machine that did this flying. Very risky, and ultimately, I mean, flying, causing death.
Yeah.
And that was a big focus.
Sure.
And there were poor immigrants.
Sure.
Struggling.
Sure.
That probably could have really, there's some things that could have probably used some attention.
Yeah.
Do you think that doing elite, risky, I'm going to air quote, discovery thingies that requires lots of money and risk?
Sure.
I.e., the Wright brothers creating flight.
Yes.
Ultimately have created... Did you see where I'm going with this?
I totally understand what you're trying to say.
Okay.
And I'm going to be honest.
Okay.
I appreciate it.
Okay.
I appreciate what you're saying.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thanks.
But
Thank you.
okay.
Okay.
The Wright brothers. Scientific discovery, trying something new.
Yes.
Curiosity. These things are great. There's nothing wrong with curiosity. There's nothing wrong with wanting to try things, needing capital to do so. Of course, that's exactly what you need.
Yeah.
On the other hand, we have gone down to the Titanic, okay? We have gone to space, okay? I do not want some billionaire who does not know what he's doing and is just on a vanity tour going to be like, oh yeah, to talk at a cocktail hour with all of his like douchebag friends saying, well, Roger and I decided to go and get Roger and I decided to go to the moon to see, is it made out of cheese? Like,
and we've discovered it's not.
Here's a moon rock. like
a moon rock in your cocktail.
Exactly. So I tried sniffing. I ground up this moon rock. Want to try a little bit? Have a sniff.
That's good, moon rock. No, I get you. I get your point.
It costs $1 million. It's the most expensive thing you'll ever put up your nose. I get it. Totally get it.
Yeah.
But these people were not turning the page of invention. They're not
They
Teslaing
themselves
it.
were not. I hear you. I hear you.
If it was like okay, this is what we're going to do, and we're going to do these other great things. No, these guys were just trying to tick something off of a list.
No, I
understand, I do think that there is a difference between that and curiosity. Like, curiosity is a great thing that does propel humanity to move forward.
But I would say that the guy that built the machine that ultimately killed people,
that fleeced all these guys $250,000 for a ticket to their death. Yes,
that's what I mean.
Yeah. Go ahead.
Needed the capital to continue to advance the advancement of
the carbon
oceanic fiber
stuff that was going to work.
So he killed 6 people. I'm sorry. It's not funny, but it's preposterous.
I'm sorry. It's so ridiculous. It is so ridiculous.
No, I get it, but it's just...
Let them eat cake.
Right. I'm sorry. I'm trying to be both sides.
You're so good, Kevin.
I'm trying to be both sides.
I'm like, fuck this shit. I'm holding, you have no idea how much I'm actually holding back and saying.
I can tell I can see your face. I can tell. I know you.
I'm trying to be good.
I can tell.
But still, there's a lesson here.
Yeah. Okay.
What is the lesson? Do we have a final thought, Mr. Jerry Springer?
Oh, rest in peace, Jerry
Kevin,
Springer.
you were so good with your final thought for the last podcast.
Thank you. Do you have a Jerry Springer final thought?
Yeah, I think I do.
Do you?
Yeah, I'm going to wing it.
Would you like to do it?
Yeah.
You can wing it. I kind of winged it.
Oh my God, you did so good for winging it.
Thanks.
Okay. You're welcome.
Thanks. Yeah, let it go. Let it go.
Okay.
Let it go.
People, we're all in this together. To quote the great Zac Efron.
Zac Efron.
We're all in this together. But we are all in this together, and there's nothing wrong with curiosity. But maybe we should be a little bit more curious about the world that we're living in and the people and humanity that, is being lost every day.
Yeah.
Not eat the rich, but
okay, keep going.
But let's not glorify people who, are maniacs and risk takers because they think they're invincible. None of us are invincible, and every single one of us is going to eventually. And I think that having, grace and compassion for humanity is the best way to move forward. I'm saying that having very little compassion in these humans.
That's clear.
But I do think that those $250,000 could have done a lot more work than
A joyride.
A joyride, you know, to your death. But to each their own.
I hear you.
I have very little compassion, dude.
I hear you. And I didn't want to digress or interrupt you about eating the rich.
Yes.
But you have to. In the description of this podcast, put a link to that TikTok video that you sent me about the girl that talked about this trip and how they were how to not eat the rich, and how she talked about how the percentage of the sales was equal to latte.
Oh yes, this girl is great on TikTok. She does it sounds like dumb blonde stuff, but she was explaining how a ticket, $250,000, $250,000 is like 2 iced coffees for a billionaire.
For us.
2 iced coffees were like, whatever.
Yeah,
but
Starbucks iced coffee, like, okay, it's getting expensive. Yeah, for us, that's them going, hey, I'm going to take a trip down to the bottom of the ocean.
We'll have it in the show notes. Please do check it out. It's pretty cute. She's great.
It's cute.
But I guess that's all I have for today.
Well, I saw your blood boil just a hair.
I was really trying.
It was going, and I like the passion.
There's no shortage of that here.
Exactly.
Oh my God.
Thanks for the discussion.
Oh, thank you.
And as a reminder to everyone, please check out our website, thebizarreaf.com. It's fun. I would just have to say, I'm going to kind of toot my own horn for a second. It's fun to watch us too.
Yeah.
We're so theatrical.
Animated.
And so it's fun to watch us too. So if you feel like watching us, watch us. And
also leave a review, whatever you want. Give it. If you don't like it, say you don't like it. It helps with algorithms. So we're down.
And we'll talk about it.
Yeah, for sure. Yes, please. Yeah, rate us. Follow us on all the social media and
Cool. All right. Well, thanks for a good episode again. Appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks.
Bye.